Hey guys, JC Peretz here, founder of allstarcharts.com, and we're going to talk about crypto today. I am joined by Steven Straza. What up, Straza?
How's it going?
We got some good emails last week. Like, oh, having Straza's perspective is great. Bring him on more often. That made you feel good, right?
The people want more Straza. I get that.
This is the original idea. Remember, we're like, okay, we're going to do the crypto videos on Friday. Remember, like back in the day, we were having those conversations. And it's like, you know, I'll run them, but then like I want Louis in sometimes, and then maybe Straza in sometimes, and then Straza like leads it sometimes. Because like, listen, you know, we're always having these conversations. We're all on the same page. We're all buying the same ones. We're selling the same ones for the most part. So we're all on the same page. And then it's just, I'm the one doing it every week. So we brought you in last week. I'm like, hey, you want to join us? And that went well. So I hope you guys enjoy this, you know, some fresh perspective. And then we do this every single Friday morning. I love it. Straza and I have, I mean, listen, we don't have a favorite child. Like I feel like earlier in my career, I loved the futures and the commodities, and now I kind of love them some more. You know, it goes in cycles. And I feel like my emotions go with those cycles. Do you feel that way too?
Absolutely. Yeah. Crypto's been fun to trade.
Yeah. Lately, it's really been a hot mess. It's been the opposite of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's just been messy. There's, you know, Louis, we have internal meetings on Friday mornings specifically about crypto, and Louis like, listen, you know, when a bunch of the charts on our crypto deck are a bunch of gold charts, you know something.
That's why you're bringing me on to do the conference call with you. You're getting tired of saying the same thing for the past 6 months.
No, it's all good though. Listen, we're going to talk about it. We're going to do the best we can. Obviously, nothing here should be construed as any sort of solicitation. These are not buy or sell recommendations. This is strictly for informational purposes alone. Go to allstarcharts.com/terms. Check it all out there. And then this is really the sitch, Mr. Straz. You know, this is the old, you know, this is the most important one. I mean, this is the big daddy of them all. And we're right around that 41,000. You know, we were talking about it this morning. It's like, man, they better stick it this weekend. They got to stick it. And I think they might. I think they got a shot. They're going to stick it this weekend or what?
I mean, listen, Bitcoin already flipped green on the day, but the past few days, there's been like some really broad selling pressure in the whole space, which you never like to see. So, yeah.
A lot of market memory here going back a ways. You know, if they can dig in here around that 41 this weekend and go on and make new highs, that would be super encouraging for the space.
Right.
First of all, there's no evidence that that's what's going to happen, by the way. You know,
no.
I think we got to take the data as it comes in, but that would be incredibly bullish, something like this, right?
Yeah. I mean, if we do something like that on the left or even the right, this would be the first series of new highs and new lows since, you know, October.
Take out those highs from these recent highs here. We're talking about a higher high, Mr.
Yeah, I said new. Yeah, higher.
You have a higher high, and higher lows, higher highs is the definition of an uptrend. So we can't make that argument until we get that higher high. If we get that, I mean, I think that would be incredibly encouraging. Below 41, and it's messy. It's messy for sure. And then the correlation, I mean, we can't emphasize this enough. I mean, you and I used to talk about all the time how uncorrelated Bitcoin was to other asset classes, particularly stocks. Stocks would do one thing, Bitcoin would do another. Stocks would go up, Bitcoin would go down. You know, it didn't matter. It matters now, I think, for a variety of reasons. First of all, for me, the biggest thing is probably the market cap. Like, it's big enough where people matter that are in other asset classes, so it becomes a source of funds when they're getting slaughtered on their Peloton options. They're getting cash from crypto markets, right?
Yeah, I would say even watch the Nasdaq even more so than the S&P 500, right? Because it's really growth stocks. And boy, has this correlation gotten really tight. You're seeing it just this morning. You're seeing it on a daily basis. Nasdaq futures flipped green, Bitcoin flipped green, right at the same time.
Yeah, and it's almost like Bitcoin has almost been like a leading indicator. Like Louis been saying how Bitcoin is more important than the S&P 500 as a gauge of risk, and you know, I'm not arguing with that. Like I can't. What am I going to say? Like that's a good point. You know, and a lot of the correlations these are the highest correlations we've seen with Bitcoin. And yes, it's more so the NASDAQ. But remember, the S&P also has a ton of growth as well, particularly compared to other areas. That's what this is. It's an extension. It's that duration trade, right?
Yes, 100%. I mean, there is no asset on earth that is more of a long duration asset than crypto, right?
So it's a great, sexy story about how inflation and the dollar and the world's coming to an end. So buy Bitcoin. Like that's a great story, but the data doesn't back that up.
No.
The fact that, you know, the stock market manipulated all that stuff and Bitcoin is something else, the data doesn't back that up at all. As far as a safe haven, you know, like a safety trade, like a Japanese yen or a bonds or maybe even gold, you're not seeing that either. So all of those theories and stuff are like nice, like they're nice fairy tales or like they're nice stories, but the data, which is, in other words, what's actually happening, what's actually going on, does not back any of those things up. The data really suggests that these are just software stocks.
So the last year, you know, just to build on your point, it's been very clear, right? Because that whole argument about Bitcoin being some sort of hedge against the dollar, well, typically that means during periods of inflation, right? That's when the dollar tends to be weakening. You want to be in Bitcoin. Well, we haven't seen this much inflation in like 40 years. This has been happening since last year. So this should be the best environment for Bitcoin. No, we're stuck in a sideways range, right? So there you have it.
Yeah. So I think the lesson there is don't worry so much about the narrative and worry more about price, because that's the truth, right? That's all that other stuff is like nice and it's adorable, but the only thing that's going to pay anybody is what's actually happening in price. So I would keep an eye, just understand the correlations, understand what it is that you own. And I bring this up. I understand that this is a crypto conversation, but I bring this up because gold, you know, is making some moves, and you can take advantage of gold in the crypto markets, right? You know, what do they say? When it becomes funny money, it stays funny money, right?
Yeah. So I guess the millennials out there these days who don't have brokerage accounts but have crypto accounts, you can still move to gold.
Yeah. So this is Pax Gold. We've been talking about it, obviously, you know, breaking out, completing this base. And I think what's really interesting is getting back to the fact that gold just made new all-time highs, price in Japanese yen, new all-time highs.
Yep.
Right?
And price in other currencies, like you're showing over there on the right-hand side of the screen, not far behind. Really, the gold in US dollars looks weaker than gold in any other developed currencies, right?
Well, the dollar's been strong, so that makes sense.
There you go. And also, which is why I think, you know, charting it with the yen is cheating.
Because the yen's gotten crushed.
Been terrible. Everything's making new highs when you price it in yen.
A lot of things are. Bitcoin's not, by the way.
There you go.
So gold breaking out. And then another point that I want to make on the gold, because at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about, the Pax Gold. At the end of the day, gold is not behaving like a commodity. Gold is behaving like a currency. And you just saw evidence of that. I mean, every commodity in the world has been ripping the last 18 months, except for gold. Gold's been acting more like a currency. And, you know, it's something that I've argued for a long, long time. You know, I've had this debate. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're buying it or selling it. But I feel like gold is more of a currency than anything else. So when you change those denominators, you know, you're looking at the United States relative to the euro, United States relative to yen, British pounds, Canadian dollar. This is the same thing. We're looking at gold in Aussie, looking at gold, right? Because it's more of a currency. So I'm not cheating. It's part of the, you know, it's part of the holistic view of precious metals.
I'm joking. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. But it is kind of cheating, though. Like, you're right. Because anything priced in yen is making it nice. Okay, so that's enough of gold, and you're able to express that through Pax Gold in the crypto markets. FTX, I mean, really interesting, pushing up against this 50. But if we're below that, there's really nothing to do there. You know, you really only want to be buying this above those levels.
Yep.
You know, so nothing to do there, but something to keep an eye on. Same thing, 430 on Binance. Same thing. These are still downtrends. But are they carving out bottoms? You got to get those breakouts. If Binance is above 430, I like that. I got no problem with that for a trade up to 520. That was that former resistance back here. You know, that's a nice little trade, but you have to understand the type of market environment we're in. Like, this isn't a thing where you're buying it at 430 and then it could double in a month. Like, we've been in environments like that. We're likely to be in environments like that again in the future, but we're not in that environment now. So I think it really comes down to time horizon. Do you want to put on a trade at 430 and sell it at 520 and make 25%? That's a nice trade. Some people are like, oh, it's not worth the aggravation. Okay, fine. It's not worth the aggravation and you stay in cash. But I think you have a few options here depending on your time horizon, right?
Like we always say, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You could do that, put on some tactical trades, but just know what you're doing. Know that you are trading a range. It's going to be more prone to whipsaws and choppy action. So you have to be ready for that. And again, there is a lot of overhead supply to work through in these zones and all these charts right now. The clear trend isn't until we break back out above the former highs, but that could be a while. So,
Tara, here's another one. So this is one that I've been in personally. I mean, I'm right here. If we don't get going, like in the next day, I'm out. This is the stop right here. If we're not in this range, there's no reason to be in it. I want to be buying a breakout to new highs. Like, I'm in it right now. And if we start taking out these highs, I'll buy more. But I know that my target's 82, 83. I know that's the trade. This isn't like a YOLO and, this is for my retirement account. This isn't that at all. It's simply a trade, well-defined risk. We're right here. If it doesn't get going, I'm out. There's an old trader. I don't want to mention his name, but there's an old trader, and he's old. And, he always said that he at the end of the week, he looks at all his trades, and whatever's not working, he just takes it off. And he only goes into the weekend with the trades that are working. I like that.
Yeah. A lot of people do the opposite, but
a lot of people like to trim their flowers and water their weeds.
Or the weeds, yeah.
Right.
And
humans are crazy.
Good. Now go to the next one.
Adam.
Yeah, the first half highs, right, are key level. If we do, like you're saying, start to build out some sort of bottom here and rebound, you could really define your risk nicely at the first half highs in a lot of these charts. Atom, helium, harmony, and
that's a big theme, right? I'm glad you brought that up because it's really the first half highs in a lot of these names. You just mentioned a few right there, harmony, helium. If we're not above the first half highs from last year, you can't own it, right? It's really that. Like, that's a nice filter. Like, we run a lot of different scans, commodities, currencies, all sorts of different stocks. Like, we run a ton of scans. This is a consistent one. And we have filters for other scans and other asset classes, but just that one filter of only be long if you're above the first half highs is a great filter to have. It's kind of like, you know what it is, Straza? It's kind of like a lot of stocks around the world, those 2018 highs, the January 2018 highs.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we're adjusting for time in the crypto markets, but it's very similar. When you look at a lot of charts around the world, particularly like cyclical stocks, a lot of materials, a lot of international indexes, emerging markets and stuff like that, everything stopped going up in January of 2018, sold off, and now we're back, and now we're holding above that. In a lot of these cases, a very similar situation where you had a first half peak or a couple of peaks, as you can see here in this case, right around here.
Yeah.
And we're above that. So if we're above that and you want to own and have a ball, go for it. And not just Cosmos, but others as well. If we're below those first half highs.
And when we run that scan, from an information standpoint for, crypto as an asset class, the number of tokens that are still above their first half highs has just been dwindling. And it just continues to trend lower. So you want to see more and more cryptos break back above those.
Run that scan? We haven't run that scan. Why don't we get the percentage of cryptos on the top 100 above their first half highs, but over time?
I have it open right now. Yeah, I'll do it as soon as we get off.
Beautiful. See that? That's how the sausage is made, folks. That's how it's made. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these crypto stocks because, listen, we could get squeezes. If they're going to go now, right? So if they're going to squeeze, so you got basically the same story on all three of these. So if they're going to squeeze, they're all going to squeeze, right?
I think Coinbase is a really interesting setup, too. Like you said, if we're back above those former lows, from failed moves come fast moves, right?
Dude, Cathie Wood is getting so much hate.
Yeah, I was watching that video. Like,
sentiment is bleak, and I would throw these like in that Cathie Wood ARK category.
Oh yeah, so I think Coinbase is a large hold. I know Robinhood is. You would think Coinbase is too.
So we got to get above those first the former lows in all of these. right? And if we can get above those levels, I mean, you got to trade.
Yeah.
If we get above, okay, so on Riot, we're looking at what, about 21, 22?
Riot.
Got to be above 22, I think, on the Riot.
Yep.
If you get above 22, the squeeze is on. MSTR, you're looking at probably looking at about 450. If we're above 450 on the MSTR, I think the squeeze is on.
Yep.
And then the Coinbase. We're looking at about 212, 215, something like that.
Yeah, but for now it does, the past day or two, it looks like they retested those former lows from below and are kind of rolling over now. So you need to make a save quickly if they're going to, get this together.
Put in a higher low, in other words, this week, potentially.
Yeah, let's see it.
When we were getting that last rally in stocks and in risk assets in early February, we were talking about whether that was the washout or not.
Yeah.
And I think we were all like, yeah, that probably wasn't the washout. We are in the process of washing out. I think a really bullish outcome would be, this retest of those late January lows, early February lows. In some cases, you're going to break through them and then rally back above them. In some cases, they're going to retest successfully. And in other cases, they're going to put in higher lows.
Yep.
If that's the case, I would encourage you to focus on the ones that made higher lows versus the ones that had their whipsaws showing relative weakness. I will also encourage everybody to look at the RSI, which is the relative strength index, is a measure of momentum. If RSI puts in higher lows on those lower lows, again, you're getting more confirmation of a potential reversal. And then in the case of Riot, MicroStrategies, and Coinbase, those former support levels are so well defined that if we're above that, the squeeze is on. But we, just to be fair, we're not above there. Just to be clear, we're not above there in any of them at all. None of these things have happened. But I'm trying to, we want to put ourselves, think about it in the future. It's called temporal discounting, Straza.
Oh, I think you make a good point. We were saying this. We need some momentum divergences. We need some higher lows. And this was a very orderly drawdown, right? Kind of very gradual. So it's probably going to be a very orderly bottom. It takes time. Bottoms are processes, not events, usually. So
and sentiment is bleak with Cathie Wood. Bleak.
I feel bad for her, yeah.
I mean, listen, the market's the market. It's not that I feel bad for it. It's just from a sentiment perspective, it's interesting. Things are looking bleak. And then here's the crypto ETF BLOK. Similar situation, but worse than the others. At least these others are at least close to their former lows. The ETF nowhere near it. What's dragging this down more than the others?
I do not know. Let's see what it holds. Some of the holding.
PayPal. It's got a bunch of PayPal. That's why. There's your
Square.
answer.
Square.
Second largest holding is PayPal, which has gotten destroyed. So
PayPal, Square, Coinbase. Yeah, yuck.
Yeah, this is like the world's worst ETF.
A lot of payment process.
Below these levels, there's nothing to do here. Above 40, then you can get involved. But these are showing relative strength. Like, the PayPal and some of the others are dragging this one down. I like these. These are cleaner. So if in the equities market you want to participate, I think these are cleaner. And then I think, holding this 41 on the Bitcoin, Straza, I mean, I think it's all good. This is an extension of that long duration trade in the NASDAQ to me. It's certainly acting that way.
And if you're looking for equities to express a bullish thesis, I know we talk about this one a lot. Signature Bank still looks great. SBNY. It's also financial. It's a regional bank. So there's a lot of tailwinds there with rising interest rates. I think there's a lot to like still in SBNY.
This is the biggest and best crypto bank, if you will. By the way, it's not a crypto bank. It's like, I think 30% of its business is crypto, just for everybody. I think that's about right.
I mean, no company is going to be pure crypto. Right. So this is as much of a
MicroStrategies.
That is most, but I'm saying from a banking perspective, you can't. There's not enough there yet, I don't think.
Yeah. SBNY, that's the one. Yeah, Stars is right. Cool. All right, guys, listen, any questions, fire it over. You know where to find me. I appreciate, everyone's patience in this market. You guys have been sending emails, thankful emails because you're not getting chopped up. I mean, this is just a market where traders are getting chopped up. That's what it is. And not just in the stock market, in the crypto market, but also in the stock market as well. A lot of traders getting chopped up. And Straza, you and I were talking about yesterday in the currency market as well. The dollar's been a hot mess. So in a lot of these cases, traders are getting chopped up. We haven't evolved yet in the crypto markets where we can put on options trades like we do in the stock market, where we're selling premium to collect income. We've been doing that very successfully in the stock market. We're getting there in crypto. We're almost there. I think there's going to be a lot of liquidity in the crypto options market very soon, and we're going to be able to incorporate more neutral strategies in the crypto market that we can't do currently. And I really look forward to that because sometimes they're trending higher, sometimes they're trending lower, but a lot of times they're trending sideways. So I think there's going to be huge opportunity in the crypto options market for sure. And for those of you who are not too familiar with options, our strategies are very, very simple. They're idiot proof.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm very excited for that. And I couldn't agree more.
Over under, how long is it going to take?
6 to 12 months. I mean,
I was going to say 6, but you're probably right. 6 to 12 is probably right.
Things are already in place. It's moving in that direction.
This year.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's just going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum at first. How long before they start going down? The cap scale. You're probably
going to have liquid markets for the big ones first, like you said, but that would be a big help in and of itself, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know what the alts. We'll see.
Right. What a time to be alive, Straza. What a time to be alive.
What happens first? Liquid option markets for crypto or trading on the weekend for stocks?
Liquid options market for crypto.
Yeah. People are going to fight the other one.
What?
People are going to fight that other one.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, I have no control over it, but the liquid options market, I mean, there's an options market now. It's just not as liquid as we'd like it to be, but it's getting there. Yeah, 6 months. It's going to happen this summer.
Let's see it.
All right. All right, guys. Adios.